I picked out 2 non-fiction books I want to read, and then we had The Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. After the Dark trilogy, I read something light, which turned into me reading more romance, and a little bit of a thriller in darkness, ending the month in a magical way. And that is how my March went. I ended up reading 15 books this month, and it was the best month of my entire life. Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing very nice, and I'm sending a lot of hugs and positivity to all of you, all you cute ones out there. If you're new, welcome to the channel. I really hope you enjoy the content, and if you do, please do consider subscribing. It is one of my most favorite videos to create. I don't generally give star ratings to books, but in this video I do. I get to pour out my excitement of reading all of these amazing books and talk about it with a community or people that genuinely get what I am saying, and along with that you guys get fresh recommendations every single month, and I'm becoming even more confident as every month passes by that I am a mood reader. When I am picking books up on the basis of what mood I am in, I'm able to get through them faster, but like without rushing through them. I read each and every word that I'm reading. I take 2 to 3 days to read one 300-400 pages book, but the thing is that I really want to read them, so I read consistently. So yes, 15 books in the month of March. I'm going to be showing them in the sequence in which I read them the entire month, but first we're going to start with non-fiction books, because I read non-fiction books kind of like throughout the month, a little bit every day in the morning. And the first book, I have been amazed. I am still going to read it in the month of April, and I'm going to reread it a lot in my life, and I am shocked and I was drooling when I was reading this book, is The 8 Rules of Love by Jay Shetty. This book was a shocker. The publisher sent this book to me, so thanks HarperCollins for sending it to me, and the reason I requested for it was because it's about love. If there is any book about love in the world, and I know that it is about love, I will get it and I will read it, because I am the biggest fan of love in the world. I did not get into it with high expectations, because usually when my expectations are this high, I get disappointed, and so I was like, let's just get into it and see what it's about, because the marketing and the hype is high with this book. You guys, this is the best book in the world when it comes to love, and the reasons for it is, one, it is utterly practical. Love in itself is a very abstract concept. If you're able to pinpoint the things I'm supposed to do to have love in my life, I am there for it, and this book did that, and I loved it. Number 2, it talks about love on every level. Love within yourself, with yourself, love outside of yourself, love in a romantic relationship, love with other relationships, what you must do if you have to let it go, what you must do when you're going through a breakup or you have lost love in any way, and then love with the whole world, how your love, your compassion, your kindness has the power to change the whole world. And I have been screaming about it on this channel. Like, that is all I want to do, because I genuinely believe in the fact that love and kindness, a little bit from us every single day, can change the entire world, and that has been said in this book in the most comprehensible, structured, flowy, practical way. It also has meditations at the end of each set, so if you want to meditate on what self-love is and you want to grow within yourself, it has a guided meditation for you. If you're subscribed to the channel for a long time, you will know I have not recommended the first book by Jay Shetty so much. I mean, it was not a highly recommended book for me, but this one is just out of the world. And the next non-fiction book was I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tekkbokki by Baek Sihi. This is a part self-help, part memoir of the author herself. She has been experiencing mild depression, which is consistent and persistent, and she first thought that, oh, maybe this is how everybody lives, but then something happens because of which she questions things, and she's like, no, this probably cannot be normal life. And that is when she decides that she wants to visit a psychiatrist, a therapist. The transcript of those sessions is what this book is. The core of this book is self-esteem, and I think that the core of your existence, the core of the actions that you take, everything depends upon your self-esteem. If you have a high self-esteem, you will be able to do more in your life and achieve more in your life. And so when I saw that self-esteem is the main thing in this book, I was excited to read it. Number 2, I have never seen a book that is this candid about what you talk about in a therapy session. There are things that I think that generally people will be very shy about, or embarrassed about to share about their therapy session, which is why when you do talk to people and ask what their opinion is on therapy or how it has helped them, they're not able to give you clear-cut answers because nobody wants to share what is going on between a therapist and them. And rightly so, what you do in your therapy session is solely meant for you, which is why there is so much of confidentiality also with the therapist. It is your safe space. But the author went out of her way and she has published this book for all of us to see what therapy can look like and how it can help you. I also think that though yes, the author has gone through a lot of things, she also talks about so many day-to-day things that impact her on a daily basis. When she talks about it with her therapist, she realizes that there is another level of life or another kind of life with lesser resistance, with lesser trauma, with lesser holding herself back that she can live, and she is growing and blossoming as a person. This is one of the most important books to read ever. I am in love with it, and when you read this book, you'll realize that you don't need to have too much of trauma in your life in order to go for therapy. And once you do get into it, so many doors you can open in your head, so many things you can become aware of within yourself. You stop looking for things and other people to make you happy. You get the tools to make yourself happy, and that is the best thing in the world. Those were the two non-fiction books. The first fiction book that I read in the month was The Sun, the Moon and the Love in Between by Faraz Qazi and Sahar Kaze. I have a review of this on my Instagram, which is a better review, and a review of this on Amazon and Goodreads, so you can read those reviews for a better understanding. I'll put the links in the description. I went into this book thinking that it's going to be like a mystical spiritual story of love, but after all of this, when I did read the book, all I had was a pit in my stomach and devastation because of how thrilling and sad and tragic this book is. So please make sure you're reading trigger warnings before reading this book. Make sure you're reading my review, and if you want to read a romance, thriller, suspense, tragedy, then this is a good book. After that, we started with the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. The vlog is live on the channel, so you can go and check it out. I will put that also in the description. The first book is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna take the name again and again. The first book is about Pippa, who has to pick on a project, and the project that she picks on is a murder investigation of Andy Bell. Now this murder was done 5 years ago, and we already have the accused murderer, who is Sal Singh. However, Pippa has her own doubts even though the case is closed, and so she picks upon that and she decides to investigate to see what the truth is. Pippa is an amazing character. She's 17 years old, but she's so disciplined and she's so aware and she's so smart and she's so utterly courageous. Plus she also makes lists and production logs and this and that is just a plus point for me because I love making lists and having everything structurized. And the first thought that I had when I was reading this book is I really wish that my daughter is like Pippa. It turned out to be a very, very comforting read for me. The way it's been written, it's beautiful. It does not waste a word. I also love the ending, the plot twists, and basically this was one of the best books. Oh my god, I've not given stars. I've not given stars again. Hold on. This is one of the best comforting books I have ever read in my entire life, but I did give this book 4.5 stars simply because I don't know, I just did not feel like giving the 0.5 stars, so I did not give it. Probably because it was a little too innocent for me, especially when the title is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. That is it. 8 Rules of Love is more than 5 stars. I Want to Die But I Want to Eat Tekkbokki is another more than 5 stars book, and for The Sun, the Moon and the Love in Between, I gave it 4 stars. Next was the second book, Good Girl Bad Blood in the trilogy, and this one got 5 stars from me because this one actually has a time foundation, which makes it an even more thrilling book. Plus it gets way darker than the first book. Plus the characters are, according to me, richer than the first book, and so the second book was such an amazing experience. One of Pippa's friends' brother is missing, and if she does not find out what happened to him, then he is going to die. Pippa was not really an innocent girl anymore, and it was so fun to watch the kind of badass that she's turning into. But along with that, she is a very clean and cut person who knows exactly what to do in the first book, but in this book she's a confused person who has no idea what is going on. And I think that the first book was still a little bit predictable for me, like a little bit. If I really went into it with my pen and paper and charts and stuff, maybe I would figure out what happened in the end. But this one was completely unpredictable, simply because it's not the kind of book that has clues all over the book and then in the end, oh, you could have clued it all together. You have to read the full book to understand what actually happened, and the ending had me. It was actually tragic, and I like happy ending, but the tragedy of this book was just, it stuck with me. So yeah, for so many reasons I loved this book. And next we had As Good As Dead, the third book, and this one was a 4-star for me because it took a completely different tone from the first 2 books, and I was not the biggest fan of the tone. However, this is so creepy, so creepy. This book is so creepy. That is the only word that comes in my head. 2, it is so immersive with all of the interviews, and there are pictures of things that they're talking about. So if there is evidence, they will show the picture of the evidence. Number 3, the thrill in this book is so much higher than the first book because in this book, Pippa is the one getting stalked. There was no innocence in this book whatsoever. The whole, oh, it's my comfort read was totally out of the window. There are so many adult themes in this book. Pippa's character was just totally different, and that is the only reason I'm giving this book 4 stars, because I genuinely loved Pippa's character in both those books. The last page of this book had me, and actually this entire series, the one thing that has stuck with me is Ravi and Pippa. Ravi Singh is the brother of Sal Singh, and he helps Pippa with the investigation, obviously because Sal Singh is his brother. And oh my god, that is one thing that has not changed in the entire series. I love it. I love Ravi and Pippa, and that's what makes the last page of this book the most adorable thing in the entire world. Next up, I got into YA and romance. It is Yes, No, Maybe So by Becky Albertalli and Aisha Saeed. I actually got the paperback version of this book first, and here's a little bit of a story time. I order like 2 books at the beginning of each month when I get some money into my account, the monthly payments, and I already had 2 books in my cart, but both of them were hardcovers, and so I decided, what if I get the paperback version of it, because then I can get more books. So I got the paperback version of the other books, and then I had more money left, and then I could get a book that is a little cheap but good, and I started my research on Amazon, and I fell upon Yes, No, Maybe So. I have not seen a lot of people read it. I don't know if it is hyped or not, but I read the description, and it is about teenagers. That is one thing. Books from a teenager's perspective, I think it's called YA, so I'm in love with YA. 2, it is a romance. I wanted to read romance after The Good Girl's Guide to Murder or any other series that I read. When I read something really intense, I want a romance or I want something really light. And 3, I loved the premise of the book. Jamie is a very shy person and he doesn't like to talk to anyone. Maya, on the other hand, is going through the divorce of her parents and she hates change, but she has to deal with all of these things. And somewhere along the way, while all of these things are going on in their personal life, Maya and Jamie come together to start doing canvassing, which is going on people's doors and asking for votes for the people that they are representing. While they start out to ignore what has been going on in their personal lives, as they do the canvassing, and that is what the cover is, they're going to different doors, some things happen and there are themes of racism, because of which the cause becomes bigger than their need for a distraction. I just got the book because it was cheap and I was like, oh yeah, let's just get it. It's also probably underrated, and I like reading underrated books. But oh my god, it is the most adorable book in the entire world. I will give this book 2 million stars if I could. It's one of those books that every single person subscribed to me and following me has to read. If you get the paperback version in certain sales and stuff, you'll probably get it for 150. I got it for 160 rupees, the paperback version. They're so cute, they're so adorable. It took me 2 seconds to get connected to the characters, and the number of times I have cried, tears of joy, pure joy and warmth is insane. And I do feel like it's a little childish and a little idealistic and a little unrealistic, but it does not matter because that is exactly what makes this book cozy. I felt literally blessed, first when I finished reading this book, secondly when I got the hardcover version of this book, and my heart was breaking every time I had to keep the book because either I had to sleep or do some other work, and it was just devastating. But I did finish it and I'm gonna reread it so soon. I love this book. After that, I received a book from a publisher, and though it was not in my list to read it, it was just so enticing to look at that I just could not hold myself back. And that book is The Love Wager by Lynn Painter. This is the story of Jack and Hallie. Hallie is going through a transformative phase in her 20s. She has been in the winter season of her 20s and now she's all ready for the spring season and she wants to bring about change in her life. On the other hand, Jack is going through a very bad breakup. Now they meet under very unfortunate circumstances, which then turns into a fling. And that fling then turns into a friendship because they had instant connection and the way they talk to each other, and it just hits. However, this is a friends to lovers romance, which means that there are so many other things on the way, waves and waves of emotion which they did not seek. I'm sorry, I think I get really off track when I'm talking about romance nowadays because I'm just blushing so hard, and this one was so cute and adorable. But yes, they don't see what is coming and they won't see it till it is very late. But it was just so cute to read this book. I think I finished this book in like one day, and it was such a good decision for me to pick this book up, especially after what I had been reading. I needed a light, fluffy, warm, cute, romantic read, and that's what this was. A sweet escape from reality, a sweet escape from your own head into amazing cutesy feelings of tension and oh my god, my hands brushed her hands. What did that mean? And the guy falls first, and that I love it when the guy falls first. Also, this book has dual perspective. This book also has dual perspectives, and that is the best thing in the entire world. I gave this book 4 stars. This is part 2 of a series, and the first part is Mr. Wrong Number. Now, I would want to read Mr. Wrong Number first by the same author. Anchal, all books of a series are by the same author. Why don't I remember that? I could listen to it as an audiobook, but then this was right in front of me, so I read it. Jack in this book is the brother of the main female protagonist in Mr. Wrong Number. So after reading this, the next book I listened to was Mr. Wrong Number, which is the story of Olivia, and a random dude just randomly messages her, and it's a wrong number obviously, and she's like, oh my god, who is this? Why is he messaging me? Blah blah blah. But then it leads into something even more interesting. Lynn Painter is just she's able to make the character so adorable and cute, and at the same time given like a little bit of tension. Both the books have a little bit of spice, but it is not graphic. I don't know if you have noticed, but the 3 books that I have talked about after The Good Girl's Guide to Murder were romances, which means I actually went on a romance binge. I also ordered Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter after reading both of these books, and I have it now, and I'm going to read it very soon. In my romance binge, the next book I listened to again because I could get that book for free was The No Show. This is a story of 3 women who have been stood up by the same guy. He does not go to either of the dates on Valentine's Day. This one also has multiple POVs, and you get into the head of all 3 women, not the guy. I went into this zone of reading drama, romance, and this one just felt like so much drama. Like, is he cheating on all 3 of them? What the hell is going on? And why is he such a horrible guy? And once I started listening to it, he actually also turned out to be a very charming guy from the perspective of all the 3 women, which made it even more intriguing. I loved the 3 women. All of them, they're like so different from each other. Jane had like slightly low self-esteem, but then you see the character arc of how she develops higher self-esteem. Miranda is this tough, proud go-getter. Like, she's so super duper cool, and you see her coming out of her shell, and that is her character arc. And then we have Shivan is what I heard in the audio. She has very high self-esteem, but her schedule is always packed, and she never really has the time to sit with her thoughts, but then she does sit with her thoughts, and that turns out to be a huge problem. But then you also see her character arc. So these character arcs was the most beautiful things ever. However, I have given this book 3 stars because I did not like the ending. Probably because I was not in the space, but the ending was so not what I thought it would be. I did not like the reveal at all. It actually turned out to be more of a mystery thriller book instead of a romance, and I was not in the mood for it. However, if you like contemporary romance fiction where it's not about the romance but more about the characters, their arc, and it has like a crazy ending which you did not expect, then I think you will really enjoy this book. So don't listen to me. If you're looking for a book like that, just go and buy it. The next book I read was The Roughest Draft, another romance book. Oh yes, it's a story of 2 writers who were at the peak of their career. They gave multiple bestsellers, but at the peak of their career they decided to split. They do have one last contract for one last book that they're supposed to write together, and so they do have to come together to write that book. So you basically read the story of 2 authors who hate each other from the bottom of their heart enough to actually split when everything is going amazing in their life, and they cannot yell at each other and they can't do anything because they're supposed to get along, because only then the book will be a bestseller. seller, and that's when they'll make the money and everything good will happen. But what they do is Katrina in the book, she will write one page and she will pour all her anger for Nathan into her writing, and Nathan will take that or whatever he is writing, he will put all of his love or angst or hate onto the character, the female character of the book, but it's actually for Katrina. And two authors, their angst, the heat, the anger, the hate, they made all of these things poetic. It was so beautiful to read all these things. This one also has multiple POVs, and that just made it so much more amazing. It actually started off like a normal common hate to love romance between adults, and you guys know I'm still finding my foot when it comes to adult romance, but as you go deeper into it, the writing style, beautiful, gorgeous, their feelings towards each other, beautiful, gorgeous. Some conversations that they have is so heartwarming. I'm like literally like this. Sometimes when I was reading it, I was like, whew, did I just read that? And this book has the best flow in the entire world. From hate to love, it did not feel forced at all. It did not feel rushed at all. It was just so beautiful. This book was another 5 stars for me. Again, I could give it way more stars than that, but 5 stars. After reading all of that romance, the next book I read was a thriller, and it is How to Kill Men and Get Away with It by Katie Brent. The only reason I read this book in the middle of my romance binge was because, oh my freaking god, look at this cover. Just look at this cover. Just look at this. I was lusting after it when I saw the cover, and I could not wait to receive this book. I was actually really scared that what if the cover is so beautiful, but when you read it, it's not as good, and that's the reason I started reading it as soon as I got it. But it turned out to be another amazing read. This is the story of Kitty Collins, who is an influencer, and she has great friends. She's a good lover, but she is also a serial killer. I just love it when you have these high maintenance, amazing, rocking, powerful, boss-ass women who are serial killers. It's just so fun to read about it. She does not intend on killing men, and it just happens by mistake. But then you move on to see how she's developing taste for it, and why she's developing taste for it, and what she does about it. And oh my god, if you look at it from an emotional perspective, when it comes to women, the things that they have to face, this is almost like an emotional catharsis. The dedication of this book is for every woman who has ever walked home with her keys between her fingers. Dedication itself had me, plus there were a few quotations in the book which was like so strong. This is a fiction book. There is no way that it's going to be real, or I want it to be real, but just reading about it and the message it was able to convey stole my heart. So I genuinely loved this book too. I gave this book 4 stars. The next book was actually not in the list at all, but one of you guys, Habib, actually messaged me on Instagram saying, can I send you a book, because I really want you to read books by Agatha Christie and you don't, so can I just send you one and you read it? And I felt a little bad, because yes, I have been getting comments that I should read Agatha Christie, but all of these just books keep coming up on the list, and I'm not able to buy books by Agatha Christie. So very lovingly I said yes. I was also having a very stressful day that day, but his message, this gesture, everything just made my day, and it released all of the tension that I have and the stress that I had. And once I received it, I was like, I'm not gonna keep him waiting even one moment. I started reading it, and the book is And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. Honestly, it was very difficult to get into the first 2-3 chapters, because there are 10 characters in this book, 10 people who have been invited to an island for different reasons, but once they arrive at the island, they are stranded. And not just that, people start dropping dead. So reading about all 10 characters, their motivation, why they have been invited to the island, everything, it was too much to take in for the first 2-3 chapters. However, after that, because I stuck with it, I was in a helicopter and I was able to see each and every character. I was in their head at the same time, so I was seeing what action they're doing on the outside, but I also knew the things that they are thinking while doing it and how scared they are, and I was the watcher watching everything. It was so much fun after the first 3 chapters to read different personality traits spreaded here and there of all the 10 characters. It could have gone so wrong, and Agatha Christie in the beginning of the book herself says that it could have gone so wrong. She had to make it sensible, because if she did not, this would be the worst thing that she ever writes. But she has said herself that she is so happy with how it turned out. That itself made me really warm. But once I finished the book, after I read the epilogue, so don't miss out on the epilogue, I was I had the same views as Agatha Christie. She nailed it. She nailed it. This book is art. It was so easy for it to be predictable, and it was so easy for it to be boring, but it was not predictable at all. It was not boring at all, not 1 second of boredom. There is an innocence to her writing while she's writing about utterly dark things. This was another 5-star read for me. Oh my god, I was in love once I finished reading this book. I cannot believe it was written so long back, like 70-80 years back. There is a reason that Agatha Christie is the queen of writing mystery thrillers. After that, we moved on to more romance, and I read Set on You by Amy Leah. I actually got this book from a bookstore because I miss going to the bookstore and buying a book. The setting is of a gym. So Crystal and Scott, they meet each other in a gym, and Scott keeps stealing her squat rack, and that's why she hates him. And I was like, I want that. The heat of hatred and angst that you can get in a gym is just another level, and that's the reason I got the book. While I loved Scott so much and I loved the message this book gave, also like read the trigger warning, 2 things I did not like. 1, there was no POV of Scott, and I really wanted that because Scott is such a lovable character. And 2, they got together way too fast. I mean, that was not the main story of the book, and you actually read it on the back that it's not the main story. So much of what has been written on the back is almost half of the book, and that was not exciting to me at all because I already know what is going to happen. So then I did not feel that invested. Apart from that, when it comes to the chemistry between both the characters, it was the cutest thing ever. The themes were amazing, and so I gave this book a 3.5 stars. What I am now excited about after reading this book is that there was a mention of her sister. I mean, her sister is also there, but she is a bookstagrammer, and the next book in the series, which is X's and O's, is the story of her, a bookstagrammer. So more than this, I'm actually excited to read the second book because I also really enjoyed the character, like her sister. She is more my type of a person. After all of this, I finished off, ouch, the month. My legs are hurting. The book is The Girl Who Drank the Moon by Kelly Barnhill. It is the most delightful dessert at the end of the other courses of meal that I had, like all the various genres, the romance, the thrill. This was a dessert, and it made my life. A witch takes a child away every year, and if the place does not offer a child, then the wrath of the witch falls upon the place and everything is devastated. So they give one child away every year. Luna, her name is Luna. I love that name. I wanted to name my first dog Nova or Luna. Luna is a child 1 year. The witch takes her away, but then you come to know that the witch actually is not a bad witch at all. She actually takes the children away because she thinks that they have been abandoned, and she gives them to good families who can take care of them. Now when she takes them away, she feeds them star juice, but because Luna was so adorable and the witch could not take her eyes off of Luna, she by mistake feeds her moon juice, and the moonlight is filled with magic, which means Luna is in magic, and after that the witch adopts her as her own granddaughter. Oh my god, this is one of the most magical books I have ever read. It's actually meant for kids from what I have read on Amazon, but I think that this is actually meant more for adults because so much magic in our world, but we all are used to it at this point, and so we don't actually look at it with the wonder that we should. When you read this book and you remember what magic feels like, you actually, when you keep down this book, you start to find that magic in your own world. Such a comforting read, such a magical read, a delight. It is one of the best books in the whole world. Another 2 million star book, and I feel so lucky that I actually read this book, and I feel so happy that I bought this book, and I feel so nice that I picked up on this book in the middle of my romance binge, and I'm so happy that I'm a mood reader and I went ahead with my mood. And with that, we come to the end of the video. These were the 15 books that I read this month. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you got a good recommendation. This month, following my romance binge, I am already reading It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. So look forward to a romance binge video which will come out soon. And is that it? Yes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys very, very soon.